It's pretty interesting. All right, so there we go. Good here, and here. Keeping my Facebook Messenger open just in case he's got an issue on my phone.
Yeah. Getting some books here, so yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just checking all my stuff. Looking all good.
What the heck? There's one missing here. Somewhere, but I can't.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, JR. JR, I may be able to get you real quick here. Let me see how you do it. Crap, hit the wrong button. Shoot. Of course I did. Can't find it. Good. Hey. There we go. Mystery Lord Forth, good to see you both. Waiting for Roger Moore. We'll be on at some point.
Yeah.
Hey, Shelly. Goodness. Oh, yeah. That's one of our sponsors, Infinite Dimension Games. Good to see you over from Mike Disney's channel. I really appreciate it. just getting started here. Waiting for our special guest, the legendary Roger E. Moore, who's written a lot of stuff for Greyhawk and for TSR back in the day. He's a publisher, and Anna and I just, as we get our, we got 9 minutes here, so about this. Yep. Thanks, JR. I should have gotten your VIP there updated, so that should have happened. So yeah, I know it's cool that two streams count, so it's good. Thank you. Hey Wiley, and I'm still guzzling down coffee here, so, like usual, Anna.
Yep.
Shouldn't be drinking this late. All right. See, I missed my cue there. I was babbling.
Trollord Games, join the fray.
Saturday morning's game for our 1000th adventure. Oh gosh, I don't think I updated it. I better not hit that button. I can hit that one though. Yep, that one's update. Will be. Giveaway every hour for Troller Games, and we're gonna probably go a minimum of 8. So here he comes. Here comes Roger Moore.
Awesome.
What's up, long shot? BB. See y'all. Peace.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see
I
you
got
again.
the wrong link.
You're getting better with this every time, though, right?
Yeah. Just you can just adjust your camera a little bit. And
There you go.
Perfect.
We just got ads going, so we're in good shape.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can't move it too far back. I can't see it though.
Yeah.
But there we go.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
That is great. Yep.
Thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's hard to say you're a replacement for Mike, right?
Well, if I'm a replacement, I'm a replacement.
No, I mean that's like
I'm
like.
a happy replacement.
Oh, that's funny, BB. You could do that too, I guess. You could say that.
Yeah.
They're
I'm glad to be a replacement. All good.
Yeah. No.
Who am I replacing?
Greyhawk Mike Bridges.
And Mike Bridges, yeah, he's normally it's us three, and he can't make it.
But we
today,
have other
so
people. I would have invited you in anyway, so
yeah, exactly. You're a replacement, upgrade, honored guest.
Yes, exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Let's
Yep.
don't tell him that.
Oh, he'll be fine.
Keep it between ourselves.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I actually had to make notes for this. I got
That's
caught
great.
off guard.
Yeah,
I
I
had to
made.
make notes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I made 2.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I have to be honest. I did not remember a single one of those monsters you mentioned to me, with the exception, I think, of one.
Oh,
And all the rest of it was like went over my. I said,
Wow.
what are you
Jay
talking about?
mentioned monsters to you, so he
Yeah.
3 of
And
them
I
that
looked
he
it
wrote.
up and I thought, oh my God, I wrote that one. I remember that. Oh yeah. Oh my God, how can I forget that? And
oh, that's cool.
I know, like notes.
And they're all classics that I use. I mean, they're
Yeah.
ones that I utilize. So
Yeah. So the only stuff I figure is not really Greyhawk. It's whatever Ed Greenwood did, because it automatically went into the realm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thinking that who's going to argue with you, Roger, about if it's a Greyhawk monster or not? That's what I mean. They'll be like, Roger says it is, therefore it is.
What I was doing, I may mention this later, like when we're talking live, but it was unless we already are. But there
Oh,
was
well,
a-
we're just
They
babbling. They
can
can
hear
us.
us, but they can't see us, and
Yeah.
the music
This
is
is the
over,
babble
so, yeah.
time.
Oh, okay. I went back through Dragon Magazine. There was an index of monsters that's online, and I went through the whole thing, and it's ungodly how many of them are.
Oh my
And
God,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, and I used to not think about this. I just said, oh, I didn't want that one. Oh, that one's good. I used that one.
Yeah.
I just had forgotten how many of them there were, and how many people have been looking at this. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's
And putting them all in Greyhawk is like, oh my God, I have to find an island to put that, and another island to put that, because they can't mix it with anything else, and then maybe that. And,
for today, I've actually gone through these books.
Oh my.
The third edition monster manuals.
Oh, see, okay.
Folio. Yeah.
I did first and second edition, and
that's
you're doing third.
That's what my guess. That you covered the early bits. So then I realized that this has a good overall selection of, because that's probably the edition with the most number of monsters ever published for. So at least in official, I don't think we're up to 5 monster manuals in any of the other editions.
No.
So I went through these books and took the ones that I thought would be interesting to use in Greyhawk. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was doing the same thing with Dragon. I was trying to find all the ones that I thought
cool.
might do okay.
Yeah, this would be a really fun discussion.
Oh, that'll be good. Yeah. My wife is sitting in front of me about 10 feet away watching TV. If she needs to, if she raises her hand, she burnt herself making dinner. So I have a steam burn on her one hand. So if she raises her hand and waves it, that means I have to get up and go see what's going on.
That's fine. We got you.
Another ice pack, I think. So that'll be okay.
We got you. No worries.
No, so her priorities got to take care of. Oh yeah, Germaline or Cocra. I don't remember that one.
The one in the upper right-hand corner is yours.
Oh, I know the wrapper, but the one below the wrapper.
Beastman.
Oh.
Aha. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that is a shame. There, Shelley. I met Roger and his wife the last 2 years in person at GaryCon.
Yes, that was good time. Good time. Big fun.
I've heard some rumblings I can't discuss unless Josh Zarathon, who I don't see on yet, said it was okay about what's going on for next year's 50th anniversary GaryCon. Oh, so I better just put a zip in it right now, So
okay, no
problem. For me, I better not say anything there. So underused monsters tonight, everyone. So
no problem.
Hello. Good evening. I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba for our 203rd Legends of Lore. Wow. Adam Meyer is with me as always, and on a short notice, a legend to the world of D&D, Greyhawk, and gaming in that realm, Mr. Roger Moore. Roger, thanks for coming back on, man.
You're welcome anytime.
On a short notice here, so I'm trying to find the Greyhawk: The Adventure Begins in this pile, so I can show some of our new people, and Return of the Eight. Some of the things you wrote, because I know I didn't take them downstairs yet. Maybe they're in here, this workable pile. But so Roger, it was funny because I was putting out ads for this, and I put out your one monster, and there's a couple other ones, and then you're like, oh, I forgot I even wrote them. That's funny. Tell us a little of the background there on that.
Oh, my whole story about getting involved in writing for Dragon Magazine basically started when I was in the Army in Germany. In the late 1970s, I was working as a mental health counselor, and the clients wouldn't show up because nobody wanted to go to a mental health clinic for any reason in the Army. It would look bad to the other guys, I guess. So I had a lot of free time on my hands. I was reading Dragon Magazine because I was getting it by subscription, and decided to start writing for it. Ed Greenwood he was the other contributing editor with me. He was already writing for it, and had been since issue 19, I think. I finally got in about issue 33 and started making up monsters because I enjoyed making up monsters and all that. So I made up so many of them and some of them were related to campaigns we were running. I honestly couldn't remember. Like Magina's cat was familiar for a player character for one of the people in the game at the time. And there was just so many of them I made up. I'd totally forgotten. I was looking back up. I wrote one article about half orcs, which was about half ogre orc or half gnoll orc or half, and I don't even remember what's in. I'd have to go back and look at the issue. For whoever is interested, I would be talking a lot about Dragon Magazine monsters. Right now,
Awesome.
And they're free to get if you put Dragon issue number and then write the number, put the number on there, and look for the link to the Anna Archive. It looks like Anna Archive run together, and they're free PDFs, and they download very fast. They were kind of shot off of the original magazines. Occasionally, you find a little error here and there, but it's almost 99.9% usable for everything, and totally free. So I've reamassed most of my Dragon magazine collection, which
awesome.
Had disappeared somewhat over the years, but managed to get all the ones I needed back. So that worked out very well.
And we're going to discuss some of them out of Dragons, definitely. Two of them that are yours are in Best, which we will get to, is in Best of Dragon Volume 3, which is I gave out 10 of them, actually 11. Remember we did 2 when we hit 10,000, Anna, not that long ago. I gave out 11 original Best of Dragon Volume 3s. Every 1,000 followers I did up to 10,000.
How many do you have left?
I got like 3 left. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and people will become more people will be rolling in here. I know we got some other shows going on. I know Mike Disney's on, and I know Blue Box is still on with his ladies romancing discussion, which is really cool.
Oh, I was watching that.
Yeah. Oh, awesome!
It was
awesome.
Great
Good.
Discussion. Yep.
Yeah, definitely a good discussion there. So, really cool. All right, so let's get this thing started here. I want to start off with this. And it goes to, this is from the 83 box set. Let's start here. And we did a whole show on counter tables, but your randoming, I'll blow this up as much as I can, Roger. Your random encounter tables.
Don't worry about that. I can do that on the screen, but thank you.
Cool. From the 83 box set is a great place to start off, because this is where I use that as a plot point and goes so much campaigns. Cool. Very, very cool. Oh, Pat66 had a question. Who made the Snurf Neblin? Do you know, Roger?
Snurf Neblin?
Yeah.
Oh, that was Gary Gygax.
It was Gary all the way.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
That was Gary all the way. That was with the Deep Gnomes. They were included in the Giant Drow series. They were in the 3 Drow modules. They were the sworn enemies of the Drow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was Gary Gygax. He did the Snurf Neblin.
Everyone, Billermaster Crafter, who's on, is a little under the weather. Wish him get better soon. He'll be playing tomorrow, but he'll be remoting in. So these are great and surprising. Inspired by the smells from Europe. Maybe who knows? Gary got a lot of inspiration, as we've seen in previous discussions, from literature, right, or lore from all over. So it's very possible that's where he got it. But these are.
Yeah.
You think so, Roger? That's cool.
He got a lot of stuff out of Old Norse mythology. The Drow, he actually put the Drow together almost entirely out of his head. He took small parts of it from what was in the legend, but there wasn't almost anything that we have with the Drow now was pure Gary.
Okay.
He did everything on creating that. The Snurf Neblin the same. I mean. Excellent. There isn't any dictionary reference to a Drow that shows the same kind of thing he was picking up. He was quite brilliant when he put it all together and made it all happen. So that worked out. But that was him.
Excellent. These encounter tables are really interesting, and they go into some more depth than you would expect, as you can see. Like, I'm just going to scroll down and show some stuff that you may not, and we'll get to some of these. But like in this area here, you got the Bandit Kingdoms, Horn Society, Ayus, and the Rovers, and you got a lot of Fiend Folio stuff that a lot of people don't even know about. You got Zwarts, Norkers. I love Norkers. Ogrillans, Flins. Here, Blackmore, Gibberlings, Quolins, Quaggoths, some really obscure. Now, if you're an aficionado of Greyhawk, you know this stuff, but if you're not, it's understandable that, and we can discuss some of these. So I think that this is. These are fantastic because you have it just says use your standard counter table down here, but then it gives you some specifics for the areas, and that allows you to really get some Greyhawk flavor. And if you're doing some random encounters out in the road, so I agree, Mystery. So let's clear this up right now. Roger, help me. An Agrillin is an orc ogre crossbreed. Now, a lot of people say so's an Orog, but it's reversed, right? The mother's different, I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I would just say you don't know what you're going to get. And some days you get an Agrillin, some days you get something else, you know. So.
Okay. It's like a box of chocolates. Hey, Sam.
Exactly. You don't know what's inside or what it's going to pop out. So.
Excellent. My understanding was Orogs were just being... Well, my understanding is Orogs are orc. I have them as orcs that can level up and get more powerful, kind of. That's the way I have Orogs. So, and good to see you, Will, and good to see you, Wiley. Wiley, I think I shouted you up, but I'll hit you up again there. And we got some, depending on what you count as a book. See, it was 22 volumes plus 4 annuals. I will go over one of them. We'll go over one of them at that point, and we'll bounce around with monsters. So, Anna, I know you've probably done your research here. Give me one you know is definitely Greyhawk that is so obscure. You're right off the bat. Throw me out one. You're like, this is great, and it's obscure. I don't even know if anyone uses it. What do you think?
When it comes to what I did for this show was that I basically took all the 3rd edition monster books, these, and plus all the 5 monster manuals and the Fiend Folio 3rd edition, because I thought that was probably the edition that had the most number of monsters published for it. Right. So I took all these are the monster books, pure monster books that Wizard of the Coast issued for 3rd edition or 3.5. And so I went over them and picked out a number of monsters that I think are underused, that I'm not sure they were meant to be put in Greyhawk, but they definitely, I think, belong in Greyhawk in the adventures. That's been my approach. So I have like a 20 or so that I think could...
All right, give us one.
Yep, and I won an undead that I think has been underutilized, that is part of that was in this monster manual, and we start early, and that's the Alip.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of a cool undead that is really different. It's the spectral remains of someone driven to suicide by madness that affected it in life. That's the expression of it. And I think it's an interesting, it has a cool illustration, and it's a little bit kind of off the beaten track, but still, so it's not your standard ghoul, zombie, whatever. And that one I think could deserve a little bit. It has a challenge rating of 3 in 3.5, so it's up there with a ghoul ghast somewhere, not the minuscule undead, but not the really powerful, that kind of in between that can be useful. So I think it's definitely an undead to look into and use in your DM's arsenal, so to speak, when it comes to it. And I think especially as a kind of a boss monster or some really tough fight for really 0 or 1st level characters, and that can do erratic things, and also a monster that can do more than just being an undead. He can yell and scream in different things and stuff like that. So that ties into the feel of it, so to speak. So I think it's kind of... Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool. He had Babble, Madness, and Wisdom Drain as the effects. So
first time I ever came across an Alip was in Neverwinter Nights' computer game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time. Yep. Now I actually have a Greyhawk artwork picture that has Alips in it.
Awesome. Let me know it's
from our friend Dungeon Meister, DeviantArt.
Oh,
this is
cool.
in the Great Library Greyhawk.
Yeah.
There you go. And they're fighting 2 Alips. Or 3 Alips, or 4, yes. So there you go. Yep, and that's in his Living Greyhawk campaign. Yeah. So so some neat stuff. Hey, Shattered, thanks. Yep. We'll get to the Norkers. They're Norker. I love Norkers.
Yep.
And yep. So there you go. Really a cool thing that we have. So we do have some artwork with that one. That was a good one. Monsters from Extra Picture would be Greyhawk. So you're correct. And I used a bunch of them on our Dirty Tricks episode of Gabbin a couple weeks ago. There, Ron, I agree 100%. Wolf in sheep's clothing. The froggy myth is from there, right? Vampire Vine, right? There's just so many of the Vegapygmy. That's another one. They're from absolutely. They are all from Expedition to Barrier Peaks, and they're all Greyhawk. Absolutely dead on that. No, don't start with the. You guys are pushing it with the throttle thing because I already have my idea, Wiley. I'm gonna have the Bizarro World, WotC Bizarro World Greyhawk for the next fundraiser, and Thrall's going to be running everything, and his right hand man's going to be a gnome named Bigby. So just you're going to get it. You're all going to get it. So yes, just like novel, exactly. Froggy Myths are awesome. I don't think Froggy Myths are underutilized. I could be wrong. What do you think, Roger, on a Froggy Myth? Have you ever used one in your game?
No, but it would be lovely. It would be lovely to do that. It would have been fun.
There is that's awesome. There is a dungeon magazine adventure. Is it called The Setting Sun, Sam? You know these. That has a Froggy Myth. It's a ruined temple of Palor, and inside it's a Froggy Myth. So I'm almost positive it's called The Setting Sun, if I recall. It's from early dungeon. Yeah, that was a really good one, and that's actually set in Greyhawk. So a gnome named Bigby instead of a gnome named Norm. Yeah. So good one there, Anna. Just started off. And good suggestions on Expedition to Barrier Peaks. Anna's least favorite adventure. So Will, that's a good question. So all right, Roger, Chagmat, which is was a very popular adventure in Dragon before Dungeon came out, with a legendary one-armed man, Akron Ohio, in that, if I recall. And they were like these almost like chitinous spider people, if I recall. Am I remembering this, Will? But I don't think that was Greyhawk. I think that it would be a good one, but I think they were. I was a neutrally based adventure. Yep.
We wanted to keep. Yeah, when I was with Dragon, they were trying to keep everything separated from any other game world, mainly just so that it could be applied to whatever game campaign you were running at the time. So they wanted to try and make it as not totally generic, but at least generic enough that you could drop it into your ongoing campaign.
That's cool. And then Dungeon came out, and they said, there'll be some generics, and then there'll be some campaign-based ones based on the writer. That's why I liked a lot of them. But I know, I think it's, once again, look it up. Let me take this in. I think this is the name of it. And the Froggy Myth was in this one. But yeah, Chagmat was interesting. In fact, Chagmat's the first time, my God, Tim's uncle Steve was running Chagmat, and it's the night I first met him. That's how I remember it so much. So, wait, Roger? No, Roger. You are not British. You're not Scottish. You weren't in any of the Bond movies. You weren't in Live and Let Die. No. So there you go, Norker, being a smartass out there. Yes, this is the Roger Moore, the TSR, the.
I'm the other Roger. There are quite a few of us running around. So,
so I'm kidding, Norker. I'm kidding back. All right, so let's just jump. Let's jump right to the one that I put up, and this is Best of Dragon Volume 3, right? And we'll go right to one of Roger's first ones. Notice it's a bad copy. It's all like washed out and all. Look, $5.79 you can get this for. Woohoo! And we go to a Dwarven Point of View article. These are all by Roger, everyone. If you know, Roger wrote all these. And you come down here, and it was in Dragon 58. And you got your deities, and I love this monster. And I just used this recently. The Undead Dwarf, the Rapper. All right. So, give us some thoughts, Roger, on your inspiration and what you were thinking of on this one. I know that this is definitely an underused Greyhawk monster.
Yeah, that one. The original inspiration was actually a British underground mine creature called a knocker. They had very few illustrations of them, but the basic idea was they were little people or dwarf-like people who lived in the mines, maybe the spirits. I think it was in Cornwall. And knockers and blue blue caps and things like that would make rapping noises in the mine, and they would do it to warn the miners of gas pockets or where good ore was. But sometimes they would do it to trap miners into going into dangerous areas. And that was the inspiration. But what I did with it was to work with something completely different, so that it was more of a, something you didn't want to run into, really. But that was the rapper came, which is unfortunate. It does sound like rap music, kind of thing. But the rapper was originally from the Knocker, the British creature that lived in mines.
Did not know that there was one that lived in mines in Britain. So.
Oh yeah, there's quite a lot of them. The Corey Blau, the rapper, I mean, not the Knocker, the Blue Cap. I can't even remember them all. Tommy Knockers, from Stephen King's thing. I mean, just loads. There are loads of little people in the mines.
So
that was his.
These are great because they're the undead form of an evil dwarven thief or assassin. So, and there can be 1 to 4 of them, and they make that incessant knocking, and can drive you kind of insane, which is really cool. So I love throwing them in there. It's a Greyhawk flavor, because I'm assuming when you're writing these back in the 50s and 60s of Dragon, I know you have to write them generically, but you're not thinking Forgotten Realms yet, right? You're thinking just it's all
No, just a basic good campaign. Greyhawk would have fit just fine for a lot of that. A lot of that was written during my Lord of the Rings period, where I was actually researching things in Lord of the Rings. I would look up, I bought a lot of books like dictionaries of Middle Earth. I mean, and the things that would explain what everything was and how all the creatures worked and what dwarves were like and elves were like, so there was a certain flavor that came through from reading that much stuff, from the guy who had done the original series, that kind of crept its way into this. But I was also reading different folklore books, quite a lot of folklore books, and that was where some of my monsters that I created came from. So
excellent. So let's go, and I'm going to throw up this other one that you already mentioned, because my friend who has played my game since 1980. This is one of his favorites of all time, and Roger had forgotten he even wrote it. Here's a whole the Magenta's Cat.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten I had written that.
Yeah.
So that was based on an in-game event. One of the wizardesses had a cat that she wanted to, she used a wish on it and made it magical in a certain way. So I elaborated on that a bit to make a psionic cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had completely forgotten about that one. That was funny.
Yeah. It goes several centuries ago. Wizardess named Magenta began experimenting to try to produce sonic ability in her familiar. That's so great. Although Midnight was never found again. It would seem the cat was able to breed with others of the normal variety and produce sonic and intelligent offspring. So there you go, everyone. You can have a really cool, intelligent psionic cat, the super cat roaming about, which is a neat thing. And they could be for good or for bad when it comes.
You'd have no idea the world that cat you were looking at was reading your mind or anything. So.
So I thought that was it's a cool thing to throw in, almost like as a little side, having a side quest or something where the cat is actually putting you on the mission.
Yeah. I had an encounter like that in my Real Devon campaign. Karulk's old familiar cat he didn't like it. So when the Rossies fell apart and Karulk probably disappeared in the maelstrom, his familiar said, this is getting too much for me. So he started roaming the landscape around and the countryside. And then he came to a tiny little village and he realized that, I simply charm all the villagers and compel them to help me and stuff. And then when the party came in, there was one paladin in the party and he detected evil, and they went around, interrogated half-killed almost half the village and trying to find it. Then they found out that it was the cat that was the evil culprit. So they didn't kill the poor villagers, but they took them, locked them up, and chased them around and whatnot. And then they found out that was the cat.
Good times. Good
Yep.
times. Yes.
So what's
Always
really
excellent.
Roger, what's really cool about this time frame is you're having stuff going on in your adventuring when you're DMing your campaigns, and you're taking those ideas, you're putting them into the magazine to share with everyone. I guess everyone was doing that at the time. So
yeah, there was a lot of that. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost certain Ed Greenwood was doing it. I think a number of the other writers were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Some of them, I think, were just making it up. I don't know if they had a campaign going on or not, but the articles that seemed to work best sounded like they were coming from somebody who was running an active campaign.
Very cool. Good to see. Okay. Go ahead, Roger, please.
I just wanted to say, it's funny that aside from the articles written by Gary Gygax, I knew of only two, when I went back through the index, of only two monsters that had been created by people other than Gary Gygax that were actually intentionally slotted into Greyhawk. One of them was from Dragon 59. It was the Demon Knights of Doom by Rob Kuntz. They were from the Great Kingdom.
Right.
And then Carl Sargent in Dragon 206 did the Fiend Knights, which is a very similar theme. Mm-hmm. So those are the only two that you had broadcast that they were intended for Greyhawk.
I don't know if I have the Fiend Knights. And I know it's in here, though. So here's my Miscellaneous Creatures book. The Doom Knights I have because that's right in the era of your articles, right? So I know I have that on my machine. I know I have I have the Fiend Knight in here.
Number 59 and number 206.
Yeah, but what I did was I would photocopy them and put them in here as needed for creatures, but I can't find it right now. I'd have to go through it. Yeah, I'll see if I have 206 in here. But 59, let me bring that up because these are not Death Knights, correct? They're Doom Knights.
No, Death Knights are specifically for Dragonlance. If you're talking about Lord Soth and the other things, those were Margaret Weiss created those. Right. She and Tracy Hickman created those specifically for Dragonlance. No, these are, you wouldn't call them Death Knights. I know after a certain while I said, well, it's like Doom Metal, or is it, Death Metal, or, something like that. You're getting into minutia after a while. But yeah, the Death Knights belong to Kryn, and the Doom and Fiend Knights belong to Greyhawk.
So everyone, look, I just opened 59, the last place I had it. There's Bleeder. I used on them at Gary Con. Another.
Oh yeah. Ed Greenwood. Those became pretty popular. They got borrowed.
Doom Knights are on here. Let me take a look. 59.
They were in Even the Undying. They're Knights of Doom. That was part of United Kingdom of Alyssa's.
Still going through the whole thing.
Sevener had something
it was
set
an official,
up like that.
24. Thank you, Mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, Mystery. The great thing about the audience is there we go. So this is from the Knights. This is from the news section here. Knights of Doom, demonic Knights of Doom. So who uses these still? Because you said they're in Even the Undying, right, Anna?
They are Sevener, the United Kingdom of Alyssa. They had an old tradition. I think they were back in the day, and then he brought back something he called Knights of Doom, but they were not like the original Knights of Doom. But this is me thinking of something that I read and played 15 years ago. So take me lightly and go back and read the sources. Don't quote me on it, so to speak. Yeah. But that's my top of the head remembrance of it.
Yeah, the Fiend Knights were Carl Sargent, so that may have been. Yeah, he may have pulled them out of that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I haven't read either one of them yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think I have 206 on my machine. Oh, I do. Oh, I do. Okay. Oh man! Oh,
yeah,
look, Part Dragon All Hero. Here's your Half Dragons from the Council by Roger Moore. Council. This is on 206. Half Dragon.
Oh, I forgot all about those too.
There you go. Yeah.
Look at that! Wow.
Awesome. The Half Dragons. I remember I researched that one to death. Maybe a little too much. There were footnotes all over that thing. I mean, if you want a half dragon, that's probably where you should go.
So I'm going. Here we go. Here, this is the one. This is the Fiend Knights and Dark Artifacts: The Magic of the Great Kingdom. This is a Carl Sargent article. So great memory there, Roger, on this. And I know it talks about the Malachite Thorn and Fiend armor, but you can come down here. There we go. Here it is. Here's the Fiend Knight. Notice they're making these so you can just photocopy and print them out, and then hole punch them into your binders in the second edition era. So yep. So, and they call it Fiend Knights of Doom, are an elite squad of warriors created by normal men by spellcraft of Ivid Fifth and Zane. So, yep, excellent. And they're not undead. Fiend Knights are not undead and have none of their weaknesses. They cannot be turned harmed by holy water. They're simply wholly controlled humans loyal to Ivid. So there you go. It's a good distinction there. That they're not animuses, right? They're not those. Yeah. So. And cool. That's a real good one. And my guess is that these are very underused.
Well, now that Ivid is sort of out of the picture, maybe they're running around on their own. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they become self-willed at this point, right? And that would be a good thing. Hey, Ramataz. So good one. Excellent one there. Fiend Knights.
Yep.
I think I remember that picture. I think the picture is actually slightly redrawn from another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the face I think was changed, but I don't remember. I remember hearing about it at the time. It was after I was the editor, but I remember that.
And this is 1994. This is 94 right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says Dragon 206. It says 1994 TSR for this Fiend Knight. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Death Knight redrawn from Kryn. From the Kryn. All right. Well, there you go.
There you go. I thought I had recognized the picture. Yeah. The face looked like it had been changed. So
hey, anything to save money back then, I think, right?
That's pretty expensive. Art was pretty expensive, but if you could fix it a little bit and you already own the piece in house.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Understood. Yeah. Absolutely. So they're both real good. Considering now, I had so much problems with copying those monsters. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because you didn't have PDFs back then, Mac. I understand, man. And how many Dragon magazines did I ruin, and Dungeons especially, doing the adventures out of them? It's like, oh, there goes and then the whole thing would fall apart. Yeah, So yeah, I agree 100%.
I am sadly aware of that. Yeah.
Yes. It's a lot easier nowadays. You can do it with a snipping tool. So Death Knights did appear in Fiend Folio, and they're created by Demogorgon, right? So, yep.
And then that story was written into Greyhawk for Living Greyhawk.
Yeah.
With the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. Yeah.
Yeah. So all the knights get around a lot.
Yes, they do. They've
recycled.
Yep.
You got to remember Scott Benny's article, right, on Kargath. It's not Greyhawk based. It's retconned
into Greyhawk.
Greyhawk. So here comes Blue Box, raiding in with a whole bunch of lovelies there. And good to see you all.
Hello, welcome,
John. I hope you had a great discussion. I hope you. I saw a lot of it, and thank you so very much for the support here. Come in and hang out. And hey, Phoenix, good to see you too. But I know you all had a great discussion. Please feel free. We have a giveaway. We have a classic D&D reprints of a fair amount. Get your choice here, whole bunch. And note, this is the first stream in the week where we have our 1000th adventure Saturday morning. So Nork asked a good question there, Roger. And by the way, we have the legendary Roger Moore on with us tonight, kind of filling in for Greyhawk Mike, if you can believe that. But don't tell Mike it's a little bit of an upgrade. Just kidding. So here's my question that we have is, if it was in the original Dungeon Master's Guide or it was in the original Monster Manual, does that mean it's a Greyhawk monster? I don't think it does. Correct?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean it's a Greyhawk. It would certainly work with Greyhawk unless it was specifically said otherwise. But yeah, the idea was it would certainly work with Greyhawk. But Gary wrote a lot of that stuff with the intent that you could use it for whatever campaign you were setting up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we have Rob Kuntz's Doom Knight, which is also we have Carl Sargent's Fiend Knight, and so we got Dragon 59 and Dragon 206 for these two. Thank you, Roger, for sharing them. They're great. I would have missed those completely. That's fantastic. So and thank you all for coming in. Hang out, please. Ask questions. While we have Roger on and Anna for a great discussion tonight on underused monsters, or we can do some obscure monsters, you know, some
Yep.
and you can ask, do they belong to Greyhawk if they're not, right? You can ask a lot of questions like that. So Anna, what do we got? Let's wrap around. What do you
I'll
got here?
continue with the Monster Manual third edition 3.5. Barghest is one that I it's an underused monster that I think is really cool. And that is a fiend, demon-ish kind of the creature that can transform itself into a wolf, a goblin, or a wolf demon-like form. And I've even used them in my my current Shieldlands campaign. The players haven't figured out that they just thought they were part of the goblin pack, so to speak. So but it's a cool thing if you want to. And again, especially as like a boss monster, they come in medium or large format. So they are like 4 or 5 in the challenge rating in 3rd edition. So they are a great like boss monster, really powerful monster for a low level party. You can have a bunch of goblins, and then they can have like a wolf or a dog, or one of the goblins can be like a shaman or something, and when they attack it, then it can turn itself into this fiendish form, so to speak. I think that could be really cool. It's basically a wolf with like a little bit of demonic face when they're in their true form, with hands they can grasp and have claws and stuff like that. So and I really like the illustration in 3rd edition. It's really cool. It's on page 22 in this book.
So I don't think, were they in 2nd edition, anyone, Barghest?
I'm not sure where they appeared. I think that's the illustration in 3rd edition. So yeah, and I think it's a great monster, a cool little story. It ties into the setting. Could really work with various goblins and stuff in Greyhawk too.
Yeah, I think I've used once or twice.
I think they are Barghest. I think they are in Monster Manual 2, if I remember correctly. From that's where they, or maybe they were in the first one too. But they're good art, and it developed really well in 3rd edition. So yeah, I'm sure you can find the 5e stats for it somewhere too. There's a greater Barghest that is the they are challenge rating 5, and they are large in size, so to speak. So can do a fair punch and are stealthy and fairly sneaky and stuff like that too, along with the goblins. So they can be fun.
So there are, I mean, we're just going to be bouncing around the whole time here. There are some really great ones, and I'm looking here, and I can't even show the one I wanted to show. I'll show you why. My Master Manual 2, if I go here and I go Bodak, Boggart, and then I want to go Boggle and look at the page.
Bodak is on my list. That was the next one I was thinking.
Let's do it then. We're right here, the Bodak.
Okay, yeah. The Bodak, I think it's another one, because you want undeads, but you want undeads that are slightly different. You don't want the standard tropes are okay, but you want to have ones that are slightly different. And Bodaks, and now I'm quoting 3rd edition Monster Manual again, undead remnants of humanoids who've been destroyed by the touch of absolute evil. Or how they're generated, or created, so to speak. But they're kind of a cool, slightly. Let's see how they are in Bodaks.
They're demons in here in 1st edition.
Yeah, in 3rd edition, they're medium undeads. They have challenge rating of 8, so they're up there, so to speak. So they are really cool. If you want to have like an undead boss monster for a low mid-level party, or really strong like 4 or 5th level or something, and give it some other undeads and stuff, and you have a really powerful one on top, so to speak. I think they're really cool. They have some. They have a death gaze, so they're really, really dangerous.
It's instant death in old school.
Yeah,
so they are.
Yeah,
Lost Caverns of Shokanth has one.
Yeah, and that's the good thing with later edition. It's not a save or die or absolute die. It's kind of, you can die, so to speak, but not. Yeah.
Yep. And they are nasty. It says it was changed into a monster after venturing somewhere upon the abyssal plains where mortals were not meant to be. Mm-hmm. So like they got mutated into this also sexless demon. So
So it's basically save or suck in 3rd edition. So if you fail your fortitude save, you become a Bodak. So that could be manipulated in various ways. So one thing that I like with stuff like that is that it takes a day or so for it to happen. So it gradually happens. So you can kind of turn it around if you heal and do stuff like that. It's not like an instant. I think it's more like a curse that happens. Stuff like that. I think it's cool to build in rules for it. So if you can get to restoration and got divine intervention or whatever before you turn into one of these monsters, then there's various ways you can handle it that can make it more interesting than just fail your save and you're screwed, so to speak.
So the one I was going to do, and I'm going to tell a quick story, but I can't show the picture, is the Boggle. The Boggle is in my, I can't show it because it's Bjork there, but so a Boggle is a rubbery, oily creature that is chaotic neutral, and it can drive you a little like insane, if I recall correctly, with all the incessant noise it makes. And now I don't remember. Yeah, I know it's a Monster Manual 2, Rich, but my Monster Manual 2 page with it, I'm just going to Germlane for next. My Monster Manual 2 page where the Boggle is there it is. Whoops. So yeah, I can't show it. So duh. All right. But I want to tell a quick story. There's an adventure in Dungeon. Does anyone remember the adventure in Dungeon where there is this jail and you pushed a circle around, and if you were there for a year at a time, and it moved and it moved and it moved, and you get out from the one spot, and they had to push each other around it. I forget the name of it, but there was a Boggle in there, and it was chained to the wall. And my Marco, the character, had Alhana, and she was going more and more evil as it went on, and she just saw this Boggle chained to the wall making all those noises, making all that gibbering and goofing stuff, and she's like, I'm not dealing with this. And she just walked up and went and just cut its throat. And I just stood there shocked, right? Because he just outright, and I was like, well, I guess that's what evil people do. So a Boggle assassin, nastily for backstabbing. See, Rich, that's something you would do. I could see you doing awful things like that. But that's my Boggle story, so it was an outright kill on it. But all right, so this one I had a little talk with Norker beforehand. Germlane appeared in D1, right? This is an old monster, right, Roger? So I'm assuming Carrie made Germlane.
Yeah, I actually borrowed that one for a later article I did in the 200s of Dragon, where I made that a creation of the Sul Imperium, the Sul Empire, that there were about 5 or 6 monsters from different places in the Monster Manual or Fiendfolio. The Germlane were one of the ones created by the Sul Imperium, along with Darrow. And, others. Yeah, so...
I did not know that. I knew the Darrow were created by Sul, but the Germlane were as well. That's really interesting.
They were created by an offshoot from the Sul Empire. Yeah, there were some people. I don't remember the whole story that I made up for it, but basically, I fostered them into the Greyhawk campaign. So Germlane, where I made Greyhawk.
Yeah, Boggart is too. Boggart back is as well. You're right. It's in Forgotten Temple Tharacin of Boggart. So the German. So yeah, all right. Oh, that's news to me that they were, and that's great to know, because I guarantee you just told something that none of us knew. That those are the two creatures that were created by the Sul, Germlanes and Darrow. So there you go. They're rich.
There are actually some others, but I'd have to look them up. So
okay.
I'll get there at some point.
Will Giant Stomp says that it's a great article that you wrote there. Thanks, Will, for saying that. On that, do you remember when that article was done?
I would have. Let me look it up.
All right, so Roger's going to look that up.
Forgive me for a second.
Oh, no problem. No problem on that.
For a second.
Yeah, Larry, see you. Have a good one. Thanks. Late's okay. So, while Roger's looking it up, Anna, why don't you give us another one?
Okay, so next one is one. Normally, I think we overusing demons and quite often, but there is one demon that I think is really cool that we don't use that often, and that's the Bebelith. It's kind of a spider demon.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think it's really
Roger
cool.
used one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he
awesome.
did.
Yep.
Yes, he did. He used it in the Return of the Eight, and
Yep.
if Bill Master Crafter's on, Bill's character got killed by it.
Yep. I kind of like these abyssal monsters that aren't like humanoid demons. I like the ones that are abyssal creatures, like animals. And I have the Bebeliths as a native abyssal critter that feeds on it's like a grazer in that way. It goes around and feeds a scavenger and feeds on the weird kind of plant and other weird life forms that lives in the abyss. So it's basically like abyssal cattle or something like that, because I'm trying to write up how the ecosystem, how biology works in the abyss. And the Bebelith is one of these top grazers, scavenger kind of things. And they need to be big and powerful like that, because otherwise they will get eaten by a bunch of others. Just like in on Earth, the really big grazers and stuff, they need to be big and powerful enough to withstand. So the really big Bebeliths are really the ones we normally see on the prime material planes, are not the biggest ones. But so they come in all sizes, from tiny ones up to really big ones. So
page
yeah,
page 38, Dragon 241, according to William Henry Dvorak.
241, yes, Dragon 241.
So this is great. So look, it's a nice, charming tower of Jalarzi Salivarian. And then you got to go inside it during this adventure. And I know there's a really cool picture of it. Let me see. It should be coming up here. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Right there.
And there's some awesome illustration of Bebeliths from 3rd edition, Pathfinder, 5th edition, and others. Bebeliths, there's some really cool illustrations over the years from Bebeliths. So Google Bebeliths and you can find some really cool ones. I think it's one of these abyssal creatures that are truly abyssal in that sense. And I really like that. So exactly, it's not a demon. They are abyssal critters and abyssal animals in that sense, coming out of the abyss. I can see a bunch of others too that fills various ecological niches in the lower planes, so to speak. And Bebeliths is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so I remember last time we had Roger on specifically to talk about his accomplishments. I asked him why you put a Bebelith in there, and you said you had seen it somewhere in another, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be perfect."
Yeah,
it made me very happy.
That's good.
That's such. Yeah. Only time I think I've ever used it in Greyhawk ever was in Return of the Eight. So
yeah. It was the ones that the Sewell Empire that I transferred back were the Skulk, the Darrow, the Germalain, this one thing called the Lorera that Gary Gygax had made up that I simply tucked in there, and doppelgangers, a certain offshoot of doppelgangers. They all fit the kind of Sully's Empire kind of mindset for assassins, spies, wars between magical houses and things like that. So I just backdated them into Greyhawk.
All right, so you're saying that Sewell created not only the Skulks and doppelgangers,
but the Darrow, the Germalain. I think it was slaves of the Sewell who escaped created the Germalain.
Okay.
I have to look it up. And the Lorera, which was a tribe of people trapped in the giant tunnel that went through the crystal mists, and that was written up into the Greyhawk box set. So I borrowed that. So that was 5 different races.
That's awesome. I did. Now I think Leonard did the Lorera, didn't he?
I did the Lorera in that article in 241. He may have had something to do with. He may have created them for something else. Yeah, certainly. So we could have been working
very cool
on the same critter.
That's awesome. So that's cool to know that those all came from that era, early Seweldom. See, the Sewell were not good people there,
No.
Rich. Not at all.
No, they were not.
They were bad.
They have become the games version of the Indiana Jones Nazi.
Yeah.
So the white supremacist movement is basically your Sewell.
They were misunderstood. That's funny, Rich. You use Crystal Mist. Do you use Crystal Mist MC5 Greyhawk Monsters Compendium 2E in any game? Well, all right. So I have, let me pop that up here. And like I said, we're going to be all over the place. So while I'm doing this, so go ahead, Roger. You got something else, another monster you'd like to discuss while I'm...
Actually, to my surprise, as I was looking back through old Dragon magazine issues, and for everybody's general information, if you want a free PDF of a Dragon magazine, just put Dragon magazine issue number and then write the issue number out, and it'll give you a link to the Ann Archive, which is all 3D. I mean, I have gotten bunches of Dragon magazine printouts from that, and you just get the whole thing free in PDF. But there were a lot of dragons, big dragons, little dragons, sort of knockoff dragons, lindworms. I mean, and they don't get used. There were so many of them. I mean, even if you're talking about little tiny dragons like fairy dragons, mini dragons, micro dragons, I mean, they're just all over the place in Dragon magazine. I mean, they're literally everywhere. As a matter of fact, I think they ran one of the little type dragons over 3 times with the same name and different versions of the same thing.
Wow.
But I mean, there's different chromatic dragons. There was yellow dragons,
yellow, orange,
purple dragons, orange dragons, and it just goes the limit. And there's so many dragons in Dragon magazines, Dragon's Bestiary and creature catalogs, that you actually can't figure out where to put them. That's why I was making a joke earlier about, well, I guess I'll have to throw some on a desert island somewhere. You literally will have to throw some on a desert island somewhere. There's so many dragons that if you tried to work them into your Greyhawk game, you would despair for where to put them all.
And look, these 2 of these were the orange. This is the orange. The orange and yellow were Elmore's, and I think the purple was an Easley.
Yeah, that's Elmore.
Yep. And this is from the orange. This is from those 3: the yellow, orange, and purple dragon article. I have this ready for some reason. I'm not sure why, but there you go. So.
Yeah, the yellow and orange dragons have been done twice. Well, first by Lynn Lecoq in Dragon 38, and then they were done again in Dragon number 65, the yellow, orange, and purple.
Color wheel article.
There was. I call it the color wheel for dragons. Yeah, Lynn Lecoq did the brown, yellow, and orange in 38.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's just an example. I mean, I quit writing them down after a point. It was just no point in doing all the dragons into her. I will say there was one type of monster I found very useful. It was Leonard Lekofsky. Again, he did low-level creatures, not necessarily dragons, but low-level counter creatures in Dragon number 66, where he wrote up things you could run into in first and second level. And he came up with a brilliant selection of stuff. It was like little tiny dinosaurs, like the Compsognathus and things like that you could run into, stuff that most people wouldn't think of. And he just had a whole bunch of them. And it was really a nice selection, and say, oh, I've run into something totally different. And it's eating Ed over there, so yeah. But
awesome.
So that was a nice generic collection of stuff. I just thought would be excellent for particularly for a Greyhawk campaign, for one of those Village of Hamlet kind of setups. You could, return to the Village of Hamlet or go to a different kind of little village and, run into all these little critters.
So they republished those in 248. Thanks, Cal Steph, on that. Some people don't like dinosaurs. Some people just don't like them.
Oh, there were millions of dinosaurs and extinct animals in Dragon. I mean, millions.
Oh yeah, as long as you camouflage them, so don't use the Latin name and stuff. So don't make them look like the T-Rex illustration from Science magazine. Then
yes,
But I have 2 dragons on my list. Linorm is one of the ones that were on my list that I think should definitely be used more. And they're Greyhawk, they're Greyhawk examples of it. Look at there's a world serpent kind of like creature on the Ayusian heraldry that is, according to some legends, are a Linorm that was from ancient Fland stories. Yeah, so that's one interesting. Yeah, and then you have another thing that you can use a form of Linorm of, an abyssal Linorm, and that's the abyssal maw that was called in that to attack Rossi's that the knights protectors managed to slay on the way, so to speak, when he was going there. That's another one you can make that a giant abyssal Linorm, so to speak. And so that's another one. That there's also one that there was Stygian Linorms that guards Igvolv's last hideout where Gerast put her away, so to speak, after they've had all their fights and whatnot, and he didn't want to kill her, so he put her down there. And there's Stygian Linorms, that another cool kind of, so fiendish Linorms are really appealing to me as a DM. That's I'm really teased by it. But there's another of the chromatic dragons that I was thinking, are there dragons that are underused? The dragons aren't overused in Greyhawk, but there's one that I think could be used more, of the big chromatic evil ones that aren't used often, and that's the blue dragon. And normally that's a desert creature, but the interesting thing is when I read them in again Monster Manual 3.5, there is blue dragon and it says temperate desert, and that got me interested because there are lots of temperate desert, semi-desert in Greyhawk. Just go west of the Crystal Mist. There's enormous amount of territory that could definitely be described as temperate or not so hot desert. That seems to fit the bill for the 3.5 version of the blue dragon perfectly in its habitat. So there, I think there's, in those 4 or 5 million square miles, there's probably room for a couple of blue dragons in there. So I think that's one dragon that is kind of needs a little bit more TLC. I think the blue dragon is overlooked.
I don't know. It also says here in first edition, their lair is always some vast cave or underground cavern. So that's anywhere, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And when I read third edition and it said temperate, dry, deserty climate, I was like, ooh, that is perfect. That's like the Paynims and out and west of Ull and stuff like that. Dry areas out in the west. So that, and bright desert possible too. I can't remember any blue dragons in Greyhawk, to be honest, in lore. So but
I don't know of any.
Yep.
Usually you think about those with Kryn and the Dragonlance campaign. Yeah. I mean, that's the Dragonlance. That's where all of the dragons are. Yeah.
So I was thinking blue dragons might need some TLC, and you might think about using it. It's definitely not overused in Greyhawk. So yeah.
All right. So
here, there you go. Volty.
Right,
there you go. Volt.
No problem. No problem.
I will be right back. Give me 5 minutes.
See ya. Yep.
Sea zombies are, well, the drowned ones are. I don't think they're underused there, Norker. I mean, maybe I overuse them.
Well, you used them a couple of times, so that's why I thought.
All right. So here's the first. Let me go through the second. Here, Beastman.
Yeah.
The Beastman is indigenous to the Vestry Forest and became indigenous to
what do you have? What's the ecology of the Beastman? Meaning, where do they come from? Are they a form of humanoid, some human relative, or what kind of creature are they?
They are like they're almost like little mini Sasquatch, I guess.
Oh, okay. So there's some sort of relative of both humans and humanoids in that sense, or one on that tree of critters.
Yeah, it says. It's. I guess it's an evolutionary chain thing here. On
so
this.
They're not created by magic or demons.
No, I don't think so.
Like that. They're naturally occurring creature. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also neutral with good tendencies. So they're not evil creatures.
Okay. Yeah.
And they want to be left alone. And you know, they don't have language, but they use, if I recall, they use guttural sounds, and they use their body. Oh wait, hand and body gestures and changes in the patterns on the speaker's fur. That's how they
Okay.
use their language. So, yep, and they're skillful hunters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. Yeah, I know Dr. Moreau sounds almost like it, but yeah, they are. I guess that's a Sergeant error ad here. Playable in the complete book of humanoids, so they actually are a playable thing in the blue book, complete book of humanoids. Interesting. Beetle bones. So I use this one a lot. The bone snapper, and that's out of Fiend Folio.
Yeah.
The bone snapper's a mutated lizard man, and those things are nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty creatures. They can slither on their stomachs in the mud, in the muck. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They are nasty.
I actually used bone snappers in a separate campaign where everybody called them big heads. They were like little mutated. Well, everybody called everything that was a lizard-like thing a dragon, and those
You're
were
right,
the big head dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And they would run actually little tyrannosaurs just running around chomping heads off of them.
Yeah, I use both the bone snapper and the babbler. I got them too confused. You're right. The babbler's the one that's on his stomach and all but they're both mutated lizard men, right? And this one says,
I love the bone snapper. It was a great monster.
Yeah, it's like evolved from a dinosaur.
It ate everybody's horse. They had lost all their horses multiple times, where the bone snappers would ignore the characters and chew on the horses, and then they would all be walking around going, "What the heck?"
Yeah, and it's only man-sized too. They're not huge. They're not that large. They're like almost raptors. So, Yep. Buka. Oh man, that's the story. The Buka that got killed in Altamira. That's a whole story in itself. I mean, quicklings, and we go through here. Crypt thing. It says it's Greyhawk. I don't know about that.
You can find a place for it. I mean, it's kind of like a Sararak over in the Tomb of Horrors. So I mean, you could always stick in a minor Tomb of Horrors, stick one of those things in.
And it's a created monster that necromancers and evil priests and stuff can create. So they can, in that sense, appear anywhere where you have undeads of various kinds.
Self-willed.
Yeah.
So,
they're cool. I love crypt things. They're really cool. Yeah.
Quicklings are really good. In fact, so if I go, I remember a lot of the stuff is on these original encounter tables from '83. But if we go now, man, I got so much stuff open here. I'm gonna crash this. I know I am. I thought I had Greyhawk Adventures up here. Greyhawk Adventures has your round ones in there, right? I've been scrolling through with them. I don't know if they're for me, they're not underused. I use them a lot, right? I use both Sword Race and, which are both in there. Let me get the pictures up real quick of them. Drown one. That's from Greyhawk Adventures, right? And then the Sword Wraith, which is kind of I thought they were non-corporal. That's kind of I don't know if that picture is that good for them, but I guess they could be both corporal and non-corporal, being a wraith, kind of in and out. So yeah, Coolins are really strange. I'd say that one. They just picked out monsters. Weren't ready to the dedicated Greyhawk. Yeah, and they threw in a lot of these other ones in here, like these, which are Greyhawk. So but I don't know. I wouldn't say they're underused, but they're awesome. They're awesome. Yep. Are they Barrow Whites? Yes, they're kind of similar to Barrow Whites. Sword Race. Yep, absolutely. Yep. All right, there, Roger. What do you got for us?
Actually, you brought one of them up before, the Aarakocra.
Yes, let's do it, man. I think
the Aarakocra, and there was another race very similar. I think they called they were originally called the Wing Folk from Dragon Age 51. They were basically humans with wings, or elves with wings. Yeah. Now elves, Avariel.
Yep, I got it right here. I had them set right to it as I was getting ready for it, and then I moved it as we talked about the wrappers, because I know it's in here.
The Aarakocra and the Avariel. Of course, they both start with A for air.
Hey, Classic Sam! There you go.
Yeah, but flying humanoids and everything. I had a flying humanoid character that was the first character killed in an adventure in the 1970s. It got shot. It had one hit point, and it got shot by a goblin arrow. And So that was the end of that. I was out for the entire adventure. Everybody else got to play.
It's Classic Salmon Crew. This is the legendary Roger E. Moore, who wrote a ton of stuff for D&D in the 80s and 90s. So, Return of the Eight, Greyhawk: The Adventure Begins, all Roger Moore, and a lot of articles in Dragon. And we're talking about underused monsters you could use in Greyhawk. So, hey, Jeremy, good to see you. I really appreciate you coming in here, and we do have a giveaway if you want to stick around for it. Classic D&D reprint of your choice. So I use these, and then I found out something real quick. If you make a player character who can fly, it changes your game entirely.
Yes.
But I think there's one thing that you need to take into account that I think is missed with flying creatures is that they should have severe weight restrictions. Meaning they should not be able to fly. If you have anything that resembles real world physics, they should not be able to carry much. Meaning a weapon,
the
a little bit.
Rules.
Exactly. Use encumbrance to ground them, so to speak. They should be frail and they should not be able to carry armor and a backpack full of stuff.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you limit their role a little bit. And I think that should be so you need to offset it a little bit. And also if you have a lot of flying critters, that also means that there are other flying creatures that can attack it and stuff. And other flying monsters prefer to attack other flying monsters because then they don't have to go down on the ground and risk things. So there should be problems with flying too, so to speak. So
yeah. My wife and I played in a campaign in which one of the main bad guys at the time were reptilian flying humanoids who would throw javelins at us from high altitudes. There wasn't anything you could. My wife just said she hated them. We all hated them. They were horrible, but there was nothing you could do, so you would all run for cover in the trees or something like that.
Yeah. And that's another underused thing, meaning even dragons and stuff like that. Forests are good protection against flying creatures and stuff. Yeah. So that's why I have that red dragon, for instance, will burn down every tree 25 miles away from its lair. Just to prove both to get rid of the protection, but also to show its power, so to speak. So the bigger the dragon, the more area will clear out, so to speak, to show that this is my territory and enter on your peril, so to speak.
Would a green dragon even do that?
No, I don't think so. A green dragon will probably use different methods and have a stealthier lair, so to speak, and try to poison characters to get and maybe have the lair in a swamp lake or something like that, and have an entry that you can't be seen. So but red dragons, they are the most powerful creature in the world, so they just want to intimidate everybody. They want to come there. They want you to try and go there and then get killed, so to speak. So that's my take on the dragons. So
the Batoon are the flying like wolfmen, right? The Batoon from Dark Cloud's Gather. I thought there was a flying owlbear in that one too. Yeah. So
I think there is somewhere, but I don't remember where it is. I'll have to look it up. It was after my time. But I do remember there was an owlbear collection.
So Aarakocra are indigenous right to the Lortmill Mountains. They're right on the encounter tables. So in my wheelhouse where I play, and I stay away from flying creatures just because.
But one thing I also like with Aarakocra is that they try to make them look and feel a bit more aerodynamic, real, so to speak. The wing seems to be not like little angel wings on the back. They seem to be more kind of like bat wings or stuff. They seem to be anatomically at least token real, so to speak. So I like that. So they seem to be frail and hollow bones and all that. So
but these don't. So but Anna, these don't. I mean, look, it's an elf with wings.
Oh yeah, exactly. That one looks ridiculous to me. That just look ridiculous. But the Aarakocra from 3rd edition or from the previous you showed, that they actually looks like at least someone made the attempt to make a believable aerial creature. And to be honest, dragons, they look semi-believable, but But on the other hand, they are also the weights they have on them are kind of ridiculous. I tried to make them a bit smaller and a little bit lighter. And I also have things like big demons and devils like pit fiends and balors and stuff. In my campaign, they can fly down in the lower planes, but they can't fly on prime material plane because their wings are they're not designed for it, so to speak. So they can fly where they in their native home, so to speak, and they're really dangerous. But on Earth, they might be able to limit their fall rate, but they can't take off with their wings. So yeah.
All right, Rich is on, so I'm going to go right here.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Rich. Whoops. I'm trying to get it so that I can move it around and all. There you go. The Sewell Lich.
Yep.
I used one of these in an adventure a while back, and they go and inhabit living bodies, and they drain them of their use, and they move on to the next one. So. But there's some good background here talking about when the Empire of the Soul was destroyed by the Rain of Colorless Fire more than a millennia ago. Some of the few creatures that survived the destruction were the Soul Liches. Some were migrated from Earth to other worlds. Some of these Liches still roam. There you go. Soul Lich always attempts to hide its true nature. It's a nasty, nasty creature. This is second edition from an annual, I believe, a Dragon Annual, if I recall. This comes from. But
it would be after my time.
Yeah, but it's a nasty, rarely used because of that. So, have an innate levitate ability and can fly about with their wings in my. Well, Pat, that solves a lot of the aerodynamic combat issues by allowing them to do that, right? So, this is a polyhedron. Yeah, cool, Michael. I wouldn't know because I never got polyhedron back then, but it makes total sense. So. The Sewell Lich, and a neat one there. I knew I had that one ready and primed up. Let's do another Roger one while we're here. This one is in a dragon, but I'm just going to bring it up, and this one is in the humanoid article.
Oh, yes, I was thinking about that one.
I
didn't remember it either, but as the more I read into it, I remember it now.
How do you pronounce that? Shasuva.
Shusuva.
Got it. And these are really Gnoll Undead Guardians. Really cool. So
I kind of like gnolls. At the time I was doing it, I'd gotten to kind of like them as monsters and everything. They're stronger than humans. They've got their own deity. They, demon prince and everything. And I thought that they really ought to have, some extra stuff floating around that other people aren't very much aware of. So the Shusuba came out of that whole thing. So I was pretty happy with that. I remember it.
Definitely, it's a great guardian. It also has this creeping paralysis ability, which is neat, and it is undead. It's a Sushuva. It must be fed carrion as a reward for its services. But this is right in that. I think this is 62. I want to say 62 or 63. It's one of those two.
I've got it in 63.
63, and that's the same one as the Bandit, which you had, which you did half of the Bandit.
I think Tom Armstrong, a friend of mine who was gaming with in Germany, mainly did the Bandit. Yeah.
Very cool. Sewell Lich was Polyhedron 42, page 14, 1988. If Roger was still at TSR in 88, probably right.
In 1988 or issue 88.
1988.
Oh, I was definitely a Dragon in 1988. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Polyhedron. It didn't go into the other one until in the 90s, right?
I joined TSR in May 1983.
So Mac asked me a question I didn't really understand. Mac, resubmit that for me. Something about would Sewell go and check get monsters in wild space? What did you say? I don't know if you're serious or not. So, but I know you like that stuff. So I'm assuming it was a serious question. So if you can resubmit it, Mac, that would be great because I can't find it. So, but just Shusuva. Hey, I'm glad you made it, man, because I've used it multiple times, but I think it's underused probably because I'm the only one probably who's used it.
You're the only one I remember ever saying that you'd used it.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
I was glad somebody did. I'd really, I wanted the Knowles just to have something that was really extraordinary and that, that nobody else had. So I mean they're prime for that kind of thing. You could have all sorts of Knoll undead coming from Yunigu, and that would be a good one.
Wow. All right. So Rob Kuntz, did Rob do that, or did Sam did the reworkers, Eric Mona and them do it? Show up in a 3E more castle adventure. Huh. That's cool. You got some love from that, and I know you worked real well with Eric, correct?
Yeah, he's
So,
a good guy.
Yeah,
I like Eric Mona.
That's
Good
really
man.
cool to know, Sam. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Awesome. So Mac's question is: would Sewell go into wild space to collect monsters? Did they even know about it? Roger just did a deep breath on
They
that.
they don't have any history in any of the wild space things, but there's nothing that would prevent them from going into gray space by teleporting. I mean, wild space takes time to go from one spot to the other, and the Sewell, I think, would not have that kind of patience. The way I envision them, they were certainly not noted for their patience.
Okay.
And they would probably just figure out a way to teleport directly to either the moons or other planets in the gray space crystal sphere, and would just pick things up from there and move back to Earth. But I don't think they would, except for like an occasional wizard's special garden of evil or something like that. They wouldn't do it. I mean, like in the Grinder, you could certainly have the remains of an old Sewell, uh, wizard's castle and everything where he had been growing, demented flowers or something like that.
So, a good question and answer then. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't see him as like actually flying, on Spelljammers, but they didn't strike me as that kind of thing. But they would be much more likely just to go there directly in like half a second and then say, "Okay, I'm here."
So this crystal mist, named after the crystal mists.
Yeah.
There you go, another Roger.
I don't know the origin of that.
Yeah. All right, Anna, what do we got?
Okay, I like my abyssal, not demons, but kind of animal or fiendish animals. And there's another one, and now we're coming soon to the end of Monster Manual 3rd edition. And that's the Howler, a pandemonium hound, almost like a hound porcupine undead nasty thing that yells and screams and cowardly and has some nasty attacks and stuff. I kind of like the idea of having these weird critters that aren't the human or the ones that look like humans or godlikes or standard demons or whatever that inhabits the lower planes. And the Howler fit the bill. I think he's kind of really cool. They are challenge rating 3, so they're not individually, they're not that big of a deal, but the idea is that they come in packs, so to speak. That's the idea, so to speak. They come in packs and they basically run you over and do whatever damage they can. They don't stay and fight; they just run and run past.
Okay.
So they can be a fun little extra encounter in various situations, so to speak. That could be fun. So yeah. And they're completely and they howl for you go panic basically if they howl and stuff. So they're really fun in that way.
Grung, yep, another one.
And they move fast, 60 feet. So they're really fast too.
All right, so this I'm going to give you one that I don't know if it's underused, but I think it should be used more because it's so Greyhawk and it's so awesome, and I think we figured out who did this, who did these up, and then I forget who did it, and then someone big who we had on the show, and I can't remember who it was. And that's the Greyhawk Dragon, right? There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Greyhawk Dragons are like awesome because they're just living in society, and I just think it gives Greyhawk its flavor when it comes to dragons.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them that not a lot, but I can name 3 or 4 right off bat. Hot in the Musk, Estrella, the one that's in there's one in the Falcon series. There's all there's some decent ones. They're not steel dragons. We asked that. They are not the steel dragons. Greyhawk dragons are not. There you go. Roger's shaking his head no. Correct.
They're not steel dragons.
There
They're
you
different.
go. So, awesome to know. They're not the steel dragon. They're not. Yes, they're not. Oh, good to know. Cool. Alrighty, we're scrolling through some things here. Grung are pretty neat. We're saying, yep. So, all right. Go ahead, Roger. What do you got?
Oh, I've been looking at some of the old monsters from Dragon Magazine. A lot of them involve mutated orcs or different type orcs crossbred bred by evil wizards with about everything you could think of. We were talking earlier about grillins, the orc ogre crossbreeds, and then I had done an article in an old issue of Dragon about orc bugbears and orc gnolls and orc, that kind of thing. Linda Kafka did where was that? Half humanoids and half bugs. It was from issue 32, where you had scorpion orcs and some really nasty. I mean, they were pretty nasty little ideas. I mean, he did a nice job with that. And it struck me as a place where you would tend to find these kinds of things the Empire of Ayuz, where anything is going to go on. You have no idea what's happening there. There may be I'm sure there are evil wizards sitting around experimenting with stuff, trying to come up with something to make Ayuz happy, and keep them busy. There was in the North Province of the Great Kingdom. I can't remember the area now, but there was this place where a whole army of undead and a whole army of orcs were fighting each other to the death. And it was sort of a battle that wasn't going to end anytime soon. And, that would be another good place for using variant humanoids or orcs or everything like that. The two big spots where you would find a lot of humanoids, Ayuz and in the Old North Province, you could find every kind of variant thing, and tuck in a whole bunch of things like grillins or, your own variant, creature borrowed from an old issue of Dragon or something like that. That was part humanoid, part something else. It'd make perfect sense. You could certainly do it. They could fall into limited areas, so they weren't like all over the place. But with some wizard's territory within the Empire of Ayuz or somewhere around Greyhawk, would certainly have a pile.
So, Roger, you just fell right into my. I won't spend long, everyone, and I won't show it unless I hit the wrong button. But we have the mongrels of the putrid tongue, which is a group of the orcs will breed with anything, right? So there's all sorts of orc crossovers, and they tend to not kill you. Well, they will, but they want to take your tongue and put it on their shield, and then they animate the shield, and the tongue's all like that. Yes. Look, I made Roger laugh. So yes, and that's the mongrel, and they're trying to seek how to breed because elves can't breed with orcs. Their goal is to breed elves and orcs together, and they found the secret recipe, but it got lost in an adventure about 20 years ago, and they're trying to rediscover it. There's a way to breed an orc with an elf. Hey, thank you there. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, this sounds like a very Tolkien kind of thing. That the orcs came from mutated elves or something like that. I remember that they're total enemies and they can't crossbreed anymore or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
So we had an orc halfling breed hit cross. His name was Junior, and he was the thorn in the side of the adventures. And of course, he was from Elmshire because everyone abuses Elmshire, right? It's the one place in all the Greyhawk with the halflings,
right?
Have
the poor inhabitants of Elmshire have this reputation of
being
screwed over everywhere.
I'm sorry. Should I tell the story about the tobacco bag, Anna, or not?
Oh yeah, please do.
All right, so Tim's dad, John Sheets, everyone knows John. I can't play anymore because he's okay health wise, but he just can't. He lives in a retirement community in Pennsylvania. His character, Petronius, his halfling, finally gets Junior, and they kill them at the end. he cuts off Junior's nutsack and turns it into a tobacco bag as a trophy. Look, I'll get Roger to laugh. Okay.
Wait until the punchline comes.
What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? About 10 years later, I'm like, I got an idea. Someone steals the bag and they resurrect Junior from the tobacco bag. All right, there you go.
It could happen. It could happen.
Sure, it all can happen in a Greyhawk D&D world. Yes, so there you go.
It could happen.
But it was just one of those shocking moments when he did that. We're all looking at each other like, yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful. So note, don't ever take body parts of creatures as trophies. They can all be resurrected off of them. So, all right. Sorry, I'm responding like multiple things here, but yeah, I love that one. So there you go, Roger. I made Roger laugh like 3 times. It made my day, Roger.
Thank you.
Slaver's reference. Yeah, here's another one. Slaver's reference book. The slavers out of Killen Lekos have these red dragonelles. They're little mini dragons. They can't breathe fire, but they use them as riding mounts. Right in the book, the slavers. And here's the stats on them, and they're called dragonelles. A really, really obscure Greyhawk creature that you could put in your campaign somewhere else. But I don't know many people who've used these. So we go over Roger's legacy of the Sewell Dragon articles. We went over Roger. Gary shared with us that all the monster creatures that are made, the Sewell's made, Skulks,
Larera,
yeah.
Let me think. The Thule doppelganger. There was a Sue doppelganger, basically a doppelganger with slight modifications. A Darrow, Germaline, and Skulk.
Yeah, and Skulks. Yeah, are all.
You mentioned that already.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, but Gary Julian's on, so I wanted to. He asked that question.
I was retrofitting him into Greyhawk, which is one of my hobbies now.
Yeah, they did make
everything gets retrofitted into Greyhawk.
Is the Sue monster Sewell created? Sue monster? I don't think so.
No. I think that was that's one of Gary's psionic ecology. That's what I call it, the psionic ecology thing. If I'm remembering it correctly, he had a very well developed. If you look at all the psionic creatures he had, if I'm remembering the Sue monster correctly, he had a very well developed ecology where they all sort of fit together. Cerebral parasites, all the way up to mind flayers. There was quite a congress of them. It was pretty amazing.
Lots of really good stuff. With that. So he and a lot of this is lost to time, Roger. And we really appreciate you bring it back, so that we know some things on it. I know Big Mac on her question. I have. I will do that. I will do that, Mac, at the end of the show too. I'll see if I can take care of that. All right, go ahead there, Grell Lurg. So yes, that is Grell Lurg in reverse, and that has to do with Len Lakofka's deity Lurg, which he named Grell and didn't realize there was a monster named Grell, so he just flipped it around. Yeah,
I did not know that. That's funny.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we found out from Leonard, that Grell is Fiendfolio. It's also in the second edition book right here. I guess that is probably a distinctive mutated Greyhawk monster. It just it feels that way. And it's here in this one as well. There's the Grell. Yeah.
A bad idea that a wizard had.
Yeah, along with the owlbear and all those others, right? So yeah, absolutely. All right, Anna, what we got?
We have a couple of monsters that I want in before it gets too late here. So now I'm in Monster Manual, the 5th one, but there's a couple good ones here that I think could belong in a Greyhawk campaign. And I've used hang on a second. The queen of fungi was one of the enemy in my my campaign, the Zuggtmoy. And yeah, so and I have it that was an old Flan cult that worshipped her. She was part of the and I wanted to you can find all sorts of really high ones, but there aren't enough fungal creatures, and the fungi are a really interesting part of the real world flora and fauna, so to speak, with a lot of fantasy potential. And in here, there is a low-level one that is really cool, the fetid fungus. That is really cool. That can use some illusions and various other things. It's only a challenge rating. Yeah, it's only challenge rating 1, but really nifty and cool. And you can kind of scale it up and stuff. So yeah, fetid fungus. So that comes with lore and stuff, and that ties into Zuggtmoy and cults and stuff. So I think that is definitely a monster to look into, especially for low-level parties where you can have a Zuggtmoy cult or something like that. You can start out with these little not so lethal, dangerous fungi, and you can work your way up to the Ruka-Rassel and the Myconid demons and stuff like that when you get into the high 15, 20 of challenge ratings, so to speak. Yeah. But this is the low end that I think is underutilized. So the fetid fungus is a good starting monster in your fungal career, so to speak, when it comes to it. And the other one is also from this one. It's on later on, and that's Zuggtmoy's kind of not alter ego, but worst competitor down there in the abyss, Jubilex. There's spawns of Jubilex in this book too. Yeah. Awesome, awesome ones. So yeah. So they are on, let's see here, they're page 163. So let's see if I can find them here. 63. Yeah, so I have the book here. So yeah, and they come in challenge rating 6 and challenge rating 10 and challenge rating 14. So they are something that you can have them as a campaign monster, so to speak. They're really cool. Lots of cool effects. You can and you can tie them into all sorts of oozes and slimes and stuff like that. It's a great cult or something monster to do, or just have, if you want to have something at the bottom of a dungeon, this is the kind of monster you can put there. So yeah, that can grow. Another one to recommend in this is the Bone Ooze is another one. And the Arcane Ooze is another one that goes really well with Jubilex. If you cast enough spells that will create an Arcane Ooze. So those are monsters that I think could see some more use in your Greyhawk campaign.
Excellent. Yeah, Dweeblix. I always said Dweeblix. Dweeblix.
Yeah.
I always mispronounced it.
Yeah, but that's a cool way of pronouncing it, Jay. That's Jubilex. Yeah,
oozes and slimes can drive a party nuts.
Oh yeah, exactly. They should not be overused, but I think some of the, especially there's some low-level ones that we used often, but the really high nasty ones haven't been used that often. But they can be a really cool boss monster. You can write the campaign around one of these big bad nasties, so to speak, or it can be somebody, if you drop something in there, it's truly gone, so to speak. It's a campaign to get it or something like that. So yeah.
All right, Roger, you got one for us?
The last one, well, I guess if we're kind of winding it up and everything like that, I would say Darrow.
Okay.
Darrow, yes. I don't think it used a lot. I know they've appeared in a couple of Greyhawk things here and there, but part of the thing is about Darrow is that I remember the original Darrow, and the original Darrow that Gary came up with were psionic.
Yep. And
that got stripped off from them later on, which was a pity. Later editions of the Darrow don't have that. I think of Darrow as a an extremely Greyhawk monster. Since I had the Sul Imperium, I made it up that the Sul Imperium created him. But there were a lot of Greyhawk deities that would appeal to them, other than they have their own deity. But Wastri, the Hopping Prophet, since the Darrow are part human, they might look at themselves as being the human we inherited the world from you, and now we're in charge and all that. But using them as psionic creatures, and giving them, powers of the psionic powers, even if it's, each one gets some minor power. It's something that's so unexpected, that parties might have real trouble. And I think most people, when they think of the Underdark, they think about, well, it's either humanoids or drow. And the Darrow just don't get a lot of press with that kind of thing. The original idea from Darrow was actually from the fantasy stories that were published in Amazing Stories by Richard Shaver, and they were called Darrow, Dero, and they were not really much like the Darrow that Gygax came up with, but it's where they originated. But the idea was that they used machinery. And a lot of the machinery that they used in the original stories was like for reading people's minds, causing people to have nervous breakdowns. And it was all this stuff that actually the psionics replaced quite well if you're very careful about how you structure the psionics with them. So, a psionic Darrow, the original Gary's version of the Darrow, would be really awful. I mean, they're chaotic evil to a level that would make Drow uncomfortable. That Drow would go, that's really not very sophisticated of you to do that. I mean, certainly there are better ways to torture people. That just looks crude, and, and Drow would, but they would definitely be on the number one competitor ship for Drow. And since the way I wrote them up, they're all under the Sea of Dust. Everywhere that there used to be a Sului city has got a warren of Darrow underneath it, that there's like a massive supply out of them that people are just not aware of. They're everywhere, underneath, in the West.
So a lot of people get Darrow and Duergar confused.
And yeah. Now, Duergar are like the light version of Darrow.
Yeah.
They both show up.
Dwarves, Duergar. They're actually full dwarves.
They're actually full dwarves. And in Dragonlance, they borrowed both Darrow and Duergar as dwarf families. They moved them into the thing. But that was about the time that all the psionics, it wasn't because of Dragonlance that all the psionics got stripped off, but it certainly happened then, and it was done with a lot of the later editions of whenever the Darrow showed up. And that really took away what made them bad. And that was just their own version. I mean, they could also have magic. They could have whatever they wanted. They could hit you with psionics, hit you with magic, hit you with weapons. They could certainly use the same kind of +5 enchanted whatever that the Drow are using, because the same Tumkeoite and other disintegrating minerals producing ultraviolet light under in the vault of the Drow, Darrow can have that too. I mean, nothing's stopping them. They're certainly, they could have anything everybody else has got and just go at it,
Well, look at Monster Manual 2. It says sonic ability individuals only, so it doesn't say no. So it says they can have
exactly.
It, but it doesn't have any specifics here.
But some of the ones I think at Adventures did have them, and it left the door open, but all of that got stripped off and everything later on. I mean, Darrow are just bad. I mean, they're just really bad. So, and I think that's a terrible thing not to use in a campaign. I'm sorry.
Bad is good. Like, I love ripping tongues out of people's story, so bad's good there, Roger, absolutely.
We all have our thing.
We all have our thing, yes. So the next one I want to discuss, I know it's Greyhawk because it appears, it's Wednesday night, so I'm allowed to do this. Casey's not here, hawking his book, but I'm going to do it. Because it appears in this adventure, Horror in the Hools, by Carlos and some other dude. All right, there's Bullywugs on the cover, and there's a Washing Priest. But there is another creature that I love. I think it's rarely used because it is what do you call it? Each letter is the name of it. And let me go to that, and that is the Syphil. I love the Syphils. Colonial insect form, artificial life. Right there, you go.
Oh,
yes.
I never used those.
Yeah. My roommate Lauren Perez says that Darrow's a servant. My wife complains about the smell, though. That's funny. Yes. So, and the syphils are just. Did you ever see the Buffy or no? Constantine, the demon that's all made out of bugs and stuff, and crabs. That's what this thing is.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
it's just a amalgamation of bees and wasps, and that turns it into a sentient creature. A few months ago, there you go. They're in a dungeon adventure. Yep, I like it. I liked it, and they're just another cool thing to throw out at you. There you go. So the syphil,
Definitely underused.
underused 100% there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So look, it's 9:35. We got another round in this all here. So, here's a question. Roger, did you ever take a monster and make it a sentient as like an NPC and use it? Please ask Roger, did he ever turn a sentient monster into a named NPC and give it a history?
I'm sure I did. I have to think about that one. It sounds like a familiar tactic on my part. I would have to think about that.
Okay.
Like a manicore that has its own personality and would talk to people.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what. Yeah.
I did that with a number of them. I didn't. Trying to remember if I pursued that with anything. That's a good question. I'm sure I did. I just can't bring it to mind right off the bat, but it's in there somewhere. I know I did.
Awesome. Anna, what do you got for your last big one?
Yeah, I got one that I think now it's hard. I have a bunch of them, but I'm going to choose one because I think it's good monster design. And let's see, it's number 163. It's a monster from Monster Manual again, 3.5, and it's called the Krenchar, and it's this guy here.
Oh.
And it looks like a cross between a hyena and a cat, or like a cat-like creature and a hyena. And it's only a challenge rating 1, so it's like a natural monster. But what it can do is that it can simply withdraw the skin from its head, and so kind of show the pink and the skull, and makes itself look almost undead and scare intelligent creatures. And I think it's really cool because it doesn't have much of a real punch or anything. It's like a hyena or like a lion in strength. So I would, it's set at plus a 1. I will give it a 3 or a 4 maybe, or a 3 or something like that, maybe a 2. So it has a little bit of a punch, and it's fairly intelligent for being, so it's like a dog intelligence or wolf or a hyena intelligence. But it's a natural animal, and I think it's a cool to have these critters that can live out in the wild and have a niche in biology, but still have adapted a little bit to intelligent life and have a way of scaring off intelligent creatures. I think that's a really cool adaptation, and I think that's interesting, creative monster design, so to speak. So I wanted to promote that.
Very cool, Rich. And that's in Ash Flag's Unintentional Emporium, Dungeon 36.
Yep.
There's lots of those fiend folio monsters. Thank you for that suggestion. Very, very cool. And that was a cool one. I never heard of that one.
No, me neither. So when I went through them one by one, and I realized, oh, that's a good one. That's a good monster design, and I like it, so to speak. And it's an animal with a little bit of something extra. So I really like that design.
So, Roger, what do you got here? You got anything else for us?
Anything else? There was an old Dragon magazine. I don't even have it written down. It was so old. It's from one of the early editions before number 20, I think.
Wow.
It was called a Prowler.
Okay.
And I remember that people who were reading Dragon at the time looked at that monster and said, "Oh, oh!" And it's like a giant worm that has Cthulhu-like tentacles coming out of its mouth with 2 big dead eyes above it. And the Prowler, if you failed a saving throw against it, you were paralyzed for a short time. So it would come over, bury its eggs in you, and then wander off. And, then you would eventually recover and then go on about your adventuring thing. Well, you just met the alien is what had happened, and eventually the predictable thing would happen, that you would suddenly start feeling movement inside you and go, what is that? The DM would just be laughing and laughing. But yeah, the Prowler is. I mean, that was a pretty good monster, but it made everybody very uncomfortable with the idea of it like dropping its eggs off with you and wandering off and everything like that. So
Dragon number 7, Calstaff says. Wow. Early on.
It was way back there. That was a really nasty, ugly little thing. So
now one of the last ones I have, I thought I had the picture for it and I can't find it. Comes from Stu Character and Paul Luby and those, and that was in their Living Greyhawk Journal cassettes when they did all those monsters. Because I scared the crap out of Darling Creepshow's halfling, and that's the Yashir, and that's the halfling, the hunting hound that the Scarlet Brotherhood created to dig to dig out halflings out of their burrows. Oh, what a great monster! And I used it one time. Yes, once I've used it. Armor class 4, hit die 3. Yes, halfling save versus spells are panic. Yep. Bite save versus poison or dex loss. Yes. Halfling save at -2 versus the poison. Oh, yeah. That's a great one. The Yashir, the Halfling Hunter Hound. So, always something good when you're targeting specifics. So, the Prowler is creepy too. I agree. Yeah. But that.
You had to read the original. It was like, oh my God. You just. That was creepy.
One more. I got you see the Lossel up beneath me, but I overuse them, so I can't. I think the Dark Treants, the Larinican, and anything you could do to make an evil Treant is a great thing to do in Greyhawk. Because there should be a lot in this forest and any other old forest area. There should be blighted Treants. Or,
Carl Sargent turned the Thelwood into the Bonewood with one of those.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go.
A kind of a really, he made like an abyssal, fiendish version of the Dark Treants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And had it turned the Thelwood into the Bonewood. So it turned them into an undead wood, so to speak. So, yeah.
So note that is some of the great ones that we've put together here. Questions from the audience. Why don't we take a couple questions here? How's that sound? I know we got Roger on, so if you want to ask Roger something outside of the monster realm, please do. Mac, no more Spelljammer questions. Go ahead, Roger.
I was just going to offer a thought. One thing that really helps to connect a monster, like a random monster, to Greyhawk is if you can attach it to either a specific area or a specific deity. I was looking at the Syphil. I think there's a Sul goddess of industry called, what was her name, Brahm?
Yeah.
Like one of her big things is insects.
Yep.
And
Perfect.
Syphil,
yep.
I don't know all the details about Syphils, but it would certainly work very well as one of her temple, guardians or something like that.
Yep.
And if you could do that, then it makes it seem much more logical. Particularly, like I said, if you can connect Darrow to Wastri or Bullywugs to Wastri, or connecting whatever critter you've got to a particular deity, or the priesthood thereof.
Bullywugs to Wastri, has that been done recently? That's my adventure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean.
That's awesome.
It works really well as a tactic, as a technique. It works really well to lock them up to a deity in Greyhawk. There's so many of them now that you could do almost anything. Anything could be shoehorned into there.
Yep.
Mac, how am I going to get Roger to co-author a Gray Space article if you ban me from asking questions? Oh my gosh! Yes, that's a Chet Minton cover. Absolutely. So Roger, what I thought about was a Syphil. It's just like the Defiled Glades or anywhere else. There's magic that's floating about, right? There for something that's been released, and you get a mound of insects, and it comes across as a D magic or something, and it actually forms it into, like, I can see it randomly happening in a weird, wild magic itself does all those kind of things, So, but yeah, you're right. And a Braum temple is perfect. I never even thought about that. I don't even think I've ever used Braum as a deity. I've used a lot of Leonard ones, Ouija and Cord, but I've never used and Fordo. No,
there are a lot of unused
Falcon
deities in Greyhawk.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That's good. We could do an entire. Yeah, we could do an entire 3 nights on
underused deities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there are a lot. I've been going down the list. There are a lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that one's not underused. That one's not overused at all. Underused there, Rich. Shambling Mounds. I just used 2 last Thursday night we played. You get yourself a nice trap where your PC has to stick it there. I'm sorry, like in Temple of Doom. Yeah. Well, just look at Tomb of Horrors. Yeah, don't put your head in there. So, I hope you guys all had fun on this discussion. Oh, Gibbering Mouthers are great. Gibbering Mouthers appear in Lost Cavern of Hidden Shrine of Tomokan. I mean, that's from the 70s. That adventure, when that first appeared. The Tear from Morty's Fantastic Adventure was a dog hybrid with a magical howl. That there are Tears in Friendy at Charnalem's Keep on the border with the Iusian. Yeah, she has trained Tears. So there you go. There's 2 places. Yep. So, yep, absolutely. So, closing, Anna, what do you want to say about this discussion tonight? Which
I think it was a great topic, and it gave me a reason to go through all the 3rd edition monster manuals again, and that was good. I found probably about 20 or so monsters that I want to use, that I'm going to write into the campaigns and keep on my short list to write into various stuff. So it was that was really. Yeah, not enough Tarrasques, no. But I have some theories on the Tarrasque, so we can bring that up in the future episodes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think this was a good topic, and it gave me a reason to do things I normally wouldn't do. And I knew that Jay would cover the old stuff, so that's why I chose 3rd edition for this. And I had probably another 10 or so on my list. So, but we will take them in future episodes. So yeah.
And this is a great thing. We have a lot of, this opens up doors for other specifics and other discussions. And there goes a cat by. My cat.
Yep, so cute.
Yeah.
I've had quite a few. Yeah, a lot of them have been going by. So now I've got one's butt stuck in my face. And we move on. Come on. Just a little bit. Thank you.
Tabaxi alert. So, were there any undead that don't get used? Yeah, there are undead. Yeah, there are undead.
Yeah,
there are a lot.
I had one. The Dread Wraith was one on my list that we didn't get to, that I thought was really cool. A challenge leading 11 Wraith that I think is really cool.
And if you missed it, we had Shashuva, which Roger created. Look in the humanoid article in Dungeon 63. It's an undead, null guardian.
Yeah, the Huikuva is another one that I had on my list that I think should be used more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think Revenants get used enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
I used them in my campaign.
I love
Revenants.
I used one in a short story I did.
Oh.
I did a Dragonlance story with a Revenant character. Was the speaking character. So he got killed and he decided to go find his murderer. Yeah.
Yeah. Ghosts themselves are rarely used. Yep, I'd say that. But Tim loves ghosts because he loves aging all his players. So, yeah. So it's always a good. Yeah, Penangolin is tough to use. It's got to be in the story base. Yeah, it's so disgusting. It's one of those disgusting.
I would look up the original Philippine derivation for that critter. There's actually a reason why something as random looking as that exists. And it's too long. The story's too long to go into. But if you can attach a background to it, you go, oh, okay, now I get it. But I can't go into it right now. Okay. It's too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look up the original and read about how it came about, then you go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. It's still gross, but now I get it.
You get why it exists. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a good way. You know what? That is a really good topic. Monsters created from real lore. real life lore. We should do one
Yep,
of those.
that's a
That's
good.
a
Yeah,
good.
we should
That's a
do one.
good.
Yeah.
That's a good topic down the road.
Mhm.
I got to write that down.
Yeah.
So Roger,
Another one.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. There was one in this book that I didn't get to. The Gloom Golem. Awesome.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
Oh, okay.
Good stuff. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
No. So Roger, what would you like to say in closing on this topic tonight?
Oh, definitely go through Dragon Magazine. If you type into Google Dragon Magazine monsters, you'll get there are some lists online where monsters that appeared in Dragon or Dungeon Adventures are all listed out. And if you're able to get into the archive or put it into Google, which issue you want, then you can look them all up, update it to whatever edition of D&D you're using, and it'll work out just great for you and everything. A lot of monsters, like I said, can be retrofitted into Greyhawk without too much trouble. Some of them may be a little more difficult than others, but the number that you'll be able to get back in there is enormous. Particularly in unexplored parts of the Flyness off to the west and islands off to the east across the Solnor Ocean. It would be a great place, like I said before, for sticking some of the dragons that people are using, or even any of the monsters and things like that that don't get used very much. You could make up your own ecology of how they all fit together, and if you can attach them to different deities or magic users, or Zagig the Bad or something like that. I mean, he'd be a great source for a lot of this. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So
we really appreciate your input tonight. This was awesome. Just shooting it up and getting some ideas. I can't believe I made you laugh so hard twice. That was awesome.
Oh no, but I appreciate that very much. That was much appreciated.
Very cool. Yes.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, these topics are hopping, and we'll keep it rolling here. And
it's so good to see the two of you again. That's excellent.
Yeah, we'll have you back on a lot, man.
Yeah.
Input here into Greyhawk, and it's a great thing to be able to have you come on and give us those perspectives too. Like I didn't know about those soul created deities, monsters, soul created monsters at all. I knew only about the Darrow. I didn't know about the other ones, and that really was an awesome new tidbit that I learned tonight.
I really went through the whole shebang for that. I dug out everything I could find. So I used to be a super researcher. Nothing stopped me. I would just find everything I could.
Very cool.
That's great.
Well, we know of some of the monsters you created tonight. We shared them, and that always is a wonderful thing to have those and have them. You need to listen to me more, Jack, and talk about Soul as much as you want. Oh my gosh, jeez.
Yeah.
So, you got anything you want to shout out, Roger?
Nothing in particular. I didn't do most of the monsters I named. I mean, there were so many other people that did them. I will need to hop off in just a minute. But,
no problem.
I will. The last one I'll mention is Gary Gygax did a random roll table with monsters from the Outer Planes in issue number 23. So if you want to make up a totally random Outer Planes demon or devil, go to issue 23 and just start rolling dice and see.
Nice.
Yep.
I did not know that. That's really cool. Roger, thank you for coming on. We'll do the giveaway and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you all so much too.
We'll see you soon. Have a good one. All right. Good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
So, Anna, what's going on?
Right now it's packing. I have a couple of more days before I leave, so I'm packing, and it's a lot of real life stuff. I posted today on my Patreon, that will be available for everybody in a week, a list of all the tools I'm using, both for all the major tools, both for my cartography and for my gaming, with a little bit of reference, what they cost, and free alternatives to them, so to speak. So that is coming. There will be the month coming from now, probably the next 6 weeks or so. There will be hopefully a fair bit of articles, but they will be more light ones, so to speak. I have some ones that I'm writing, because there will not be that much hard mapping updates. So I will write more stuff about my campaign. There will be some more monsters. I have a couple of factions I want from my campaign that I want to describe, and some rules updates and stuff like that. Things that I can do on my laptop for the most part. So that will be. So I'm sorry for everybody who wants to have new cool map updates and stuff. There will be a little bit of less of them until probably by the end of July or something. I need a couple of weeks after I get home to really get kicking again on stuff. So yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, but it's content is coming. I hopefully I can do some more heraldry and stuff. But I have a guest list for my upcoming campaign, the Need Fest festivities. I'm going to post that both to my players and everybody get stuff with portraits and stuff. So that there will be some fun stuff like that. There will be some small maps of Olded and other areas and write-ups and stuff. Yeah. Yep. So I'll see if I can clean them up because they are not so heavy, so I can edit them on my laptop and stuff. So stuff like that I'm planning to do. Yep.
Awesome. Lots of great stuff going on. Note, it's been this is a kickoff for a big week for us. Let's just go here and talk about what's coming on the rest of the week. All right, this is a stage pick, everyone. Which I always put them up, but this is as we continue adventure number. I will tell you, this one I'm out of order. So this is Mistreat Sojourn's Repose as they go and they're trying to find the exiled maester from the Sojourn's Repose, which is just north of Altamira, which will go on the map, on Anna's map, in the Free City of Altamira box set. As we've probably seen them earlier, this is what it looked, an earlier adventure. There you go. The location, they're all in 3D print. All the scriptorium, and have you ever done a modified weather generation table?
I'm putting in. I use. Cool. I'm working on weather, more advanced weather, so to speak. But right now, I'm actually using this site. It's a Finnish guy, I think, that made, and it's basically. He took if I understood it right, because he emailed back and forth long time, or someone, I'm not sure. I think we saw some detail, but I think this is a computerized version of from all the tables and the glossary or the add-on from the 83 box set. But it's really cool. So I'm kind of using that. So I generate a month and then I tweak it here and there as needed, so to speak. But I think it's a cool one to do it. There are various other forms of stuff. And one of the things that I was planning on doing once I have my GIS maps set up is to generate Greyhawk weather on a weekly basis and have like a Greyhawk weather service. So for every week of the year, and that way you can use them in your campaign, so to speak. So that's when I have a much easier map setup that I can do it.
Awesome.
So to speak. So so I have a lot of ideas and it's early days, so to speak, but that's the one I can recommend because it generates a really cool table that you can just paste in somewhere and save it and use it in my campaign. I can recommend it.
I'm trying to figure out who we're going to raid into while you were talking here.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night Huntsman Mistreat Sojourn's Repose. They're looking for the exiled maester, who turns out was probably probably a necromancer, which is not a good thing. So but has control of these murlocs that have been attacking the location. So that we'll finish that up tomorrow night, and then off Friday, Saturday morning is the big one.
Yeah,
9 a.m. Yep.
Yeah. So I just mentioned we have the last mapping live stream this Friday.
Oh, good.
Before I go next week. So yeah. So awesome. Friday night will be a mapping live stream as usual.
So we'll have something every night. That's fantastic. It starts at 9 a.m. and it finishes when we finish. Note, it's going to be an ode to abridged, limited encounters. I can't run a complete crawl through. I'll never get it done in 8-9 hours. We want to get it done, but there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some fun things. Yes, this is number 1,000. 1,000th adventure, roughly 3,350 sessions. This is it. And start 9 o'clock. There's a Troller Games giveaway every hour that we play. So there you go. Plus, we'll probably give away some other goodies. I have a couple Tomb of the Lizard King reprints that, thank you, that Patrick has given me. I'm saving them, so we're gonna have some nice things, and that will be on Saturday morning. Yes, it's all my regulars, including Tim, which is a problem, Varl, because they're all I forgot how powerful this group is, the Omega Patrol, with such a terrible name. They're really. I got to really soup this thing up. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for me as a DM, but we'll have fun. We'll have fun with it. I got some surprises for them. And then we'll have a Gavin next week. This Sunday, I haven't titled it yet. I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
That'll be your last stream, right? That's your last stream, Adam, before you head out, right?
Yep.
All right, and then the Saturday after, yes, is the Soft Squad 2 Drink Minimum crossover event on Saturday, June 10th at 6 p.m. The name of it is What Could Possibly Go Wrong? Thank you, Josh, for bringing up that name. And there's the players, so everyone is committed. That'll be good. And then the night after that, Eric Mona joins me. I got the wrong one again. It's Eric Mona. It's Eric Mona and me with James Jacobs on the Savage Tide Adventure Path, Gavin, on the 11th. And then I'll have a couple streams after that, and then I go vacation the 17th. So I go down to Florida on the 17th. All right. So what a very nice, fun night. Let's do the giveaway. Throw some syphils in. I'll throw some syphil. I'll throw a lot of. I'm gonna try and throw some stuff in. I got some ideas. Making it a little more difficult. So let me close this out. Let's call exclamation point drawing. Get your choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a Shady Dragon in. I got these really cool fast play games. One by Jeff Grubb. Are they both by Jeff Grubb? They're both by Jeff Grubb. Wrath of the Minotaur and Eye of the Wyvern. So these are, all right. Got them. Palace of the Silver Princess, the Treasures. And gets called the Reptile God, an Abyss Thor. Got a lot of good things here. So we got a lot of neat things here. Let me close this out. Got in. Let's see who wins tonight. And then tomorrow night's Infinite Dimensions Games giveaways, $20 gift certificates to their store site, and I'll do one Reaper giveaway for people who don't have a 3D printer. And that'll be tomorrow night. So, Dave, DM221532. There you go, Dave. You win. Get with me. I know Dave. Dave's been one of the oldest regular viewers we have.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That's been around forever.
Yeah, he's been around forever. So, yep, that's absolutely. Awesome. All right. So, we'll see you. Oh, my God. Who are we rating into? Who am I rating into tonight? Bones is on, but she's playing video games. So, we're going to do. Oh, my gosh. Goodman's on. Crane's on. Crane Wrights is on. Epic Realms is on. Oh my God, I'm like lost. I should have. Boy, oh boy. Yep. All right. I'm gonna close my eyes. How's that sound? I'm just gonna pick one randomly. So Anna, we'll see you again for the last stream you'll be on here, and that'll be Sunday. We'll figure out a topic. Is Mandy on?
Yeah.
Oh, Mandy is on. I did Mandy last time. How Phoenix's on too. So I'll flip a. Hey, Bird, good to see you. Yeah, I gotta get with you on a date upcoming. I gotta get with you there on a date for our next game with Mike Disney. We gotta set that up. So I'll get with you. All right. See you all soon. Everyone have a good one. And tomorrow night, Saturday morning. Wrong button time coming.
Yep. You did it.
Yep. Yeah, I want to set it up now so that we can get, while I'm on vacation, I know it's set when I get back. But I know you're moving soon. We got to talk about that. Let me get with you there. Hit a wrong button here. Wrong button. I got to hit one. Raid channel. All right. Setting up raid. Just say hi and then move on. All right. Sound good? And we will, got lots of great stuff coming up here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all tomorrow night.